everybody, welcome to ClausenWorld. As you can see, I am in the kitchen and I am doing a whole lot of stuff today. I've got the canner on the stove warming up. I've got the double boiler going, it's bubbling, it's ready for my tomatoes. I am in the process of making canned tomatoes for the fall because I want tomato soup, I might want pasta. So join me in the kitchen. Let's get these tomatoes going, shall we? Okay, I have washed and rinsed my tomatoes, and now they need to go into the boiling water for roughly 3 minutes to make sure that the skins crack. So let's get them in this boiling water. Now this water is hot, so you have got to be very careful when you are fooling around with hot water. So I'm just taking the top off, laying it on the back of the stove, and now I'm going to place these tomatoes in this hot water. Now don't do this with your hand. Use a long cooking instrument and just set them in the water. Do not put your hand near that water. That water is hot and it is liable to burn you. You're just setting them in that hot water. Now I did not grow these. I do have some Roma tomato in the garden, but they have not given me any tomatoes, any fruits this year. It got too hot and they did not make any fruits. But right now they do have flowers on them. So I'm hoping that I might get fruits before the season changes and it turns cold and I lose them. Look at there. I don't even need to leave these in here for 3 minutes. They're already splitting. Okay, all right. Let me move you guys in a little bit, not too much because there's a lot of steam coming off this pot. Now I have several tomatoes already splitting. So I am going to take these tomatoes and rush them directly over to the cold water. But I'm going to put them in my container here first and then rush them over to the cold water. I have ice cold water in the sink. And you don't want to leave these in here too long. You don't want them to cook. You just want those skins to pop off. And this water was so hot, these skins almost burst immediately. All right, I'm trying to get these out as quickly as I can. Making sure I'm taking the ones that those could stay a few more minutes. Let me get these over into the water. Some cold water down here, some ice cold water. I am going to get these tomatoes in this water as quick as possible so they can stop cooking. I'm going to go over to the stove and get the remaining tomatoes. Sorry about that. I keep putting my hand in the way. One little lonely tomato still sitting in the pot. It's not ready yet. I got to keep an eye on it. I think my water cooled off. And so now I need to let these sit for a second. There are a couple of them at the bottom that should be ready to come out. I mean, they're already, the peels are coming off already. All right, let me get these out of here because they are ready, I do believe. Oh yeah, they're ready. Look at that. Peels are coming off just like that. I don't even have to do a whole lot. Just the peels just coming right on off. Look at that. You see that? I didn't even have them in there for no more than a couple of seconds. That water was steaming hot and these peels are coming off. Now you guys probably hear Mama Gina in the background. I had Mama Gina on the iPad while I was trying to get these tomatoes done because I couldn't quite remember how to get my tomatoes. I haven't done them in so long. It's been years since I tried to make tomatoes, to make anything as far as tomato soup, tomato paste, tomato sauce. Ooh, that water is cold, y'all. My goodness. So I had to put on Mama Gina to make sure I was doing it right. The original Italian way. Ooh, let me get this tomato out of here. I can't keep putting my hands in that cold water. That water is freezing cold. All right, let's see. All right, I'm gonna take all these tomatoes out. I think they've been shocked enough by sitting in this water. And I've got one tomato that I need to pull out of off the stove right now. The water had cooled off. There we are. One last little tomato. All right. The water had cooled off, and so it took a little longer to take the skin off of that one. But the skin, the skins are coming off of these tomatoes. Oh my goodness, that water is cold. The skins are coming off these tomatoes so well, you guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but these skins are just peeling off like nothing. No effort at all. And I'm slightly disappointed in these tomatoes. These are Roma tomatoes. Of course, they weren't very red. They were slightly faint in color, but that's all they had at the store. And since mine did not give me any fruit, you know, you have to do what you have to do. So I'm still hoping that this gives me a nice flavor. We shall see. All right, so I do believe I have taken all of the skins off. I think one of these might have sat a little too long, but that's all right. Okay, so all of the skins are off. I'm going to rinse my hands. And now we're going to take the core out of these tomatoes, and we're going to peel de-seed them, not peel them, de-seed them. All right, give me a second. Let me get my tools, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now that the tomatoes have been skinned, we have to core and de-seed the tomatoes. So I'm just going to take this little tool that I have, take that core out. Hopefully I get it right. Tomatoes are, there we go. Hope you guys saw that. Let me try it again. Just taking that out like that. Now I'm not going to let you guys sit here and watch me pour out all these tomatoes, but I will core them and then I will come back. Once you go ahead on and you take the core out of your tomatoes, then what I like to do is I like to cut out that seed core. I like to take those seeds out. Now you don't have to take the seeds out if you don't want to, but I would rather take the seeds out, hopefully intact, but we'll see how this goes. And over there, I'm just trying to get that seed out of there, all those seeds. I don't want the seeds in my sauce. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. And the tomato, you know, of course, it's just, it's a mess. There we go. It is a mess. So let me get these seeds out of this tomato. And I'm not cutting all the way through it because I don't want to, as you saw earlier, I don't want to break that seed out. I want it to kind of come out kind of whole, if I can get it out whole. But these are slippery. I want all those seeds out. So let me do this and then I will be back. The canner has been sitting on the stove on a very low heat. It is not ready for my tomatoes yet, but I have turned the heat up and it should get to cranking here pretty soon. So I am going to give it some time and then I'll be right back. Okay, now I have sliced up the tomatoes and I have them in a bowl. And you don't have to take your seeds out of your tomatoes if you don't want to. And I just washed my hands off camera, so no worries, my hands are clean. I've washed my hands off camera each and every time I've had to touch the tomatoes. So I'm just giving them a little bit of a squish. But what I was saying was, you don't have to take your seeds out of your tomatoes if you don't want to. I didn't want the seeds in my tomatoes, so I took them out. Now I'm just giving them a little squish, and as you can see, I went out into the garden and I got some fresh basil, and I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to taste. So let me get my salt and a little bit of a measuring spoon. Okay, now all I did was grab my tablespoon, but I'm not going to put a tablespoon worth of salt in here. I'm just going to salt it to taste. And I had about 17 tomatoes. I just grabbed a few of them. As you can see, it seems really, really light. I'm not a huge fan of the color. I don't feel like the tomatoes, I already know they weren't ripe because you can tell by the way they look that they are not ripe. But that's what we have to deal with if you're not growing them in your garden. So I am just swirling that around a little bit, and I am going to taste that to see what it tastes like. Let me get a spoon. Got a clean spoon. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a taste. Oh yeah, that's perfect. And I was just tasting it to see if the salt was the right amount for me. Now I already have my mason jars up here. I just took them out of the dishwasher. So I am going to move my mason jar closer to you guys so that you all can see it. And then I'm going to add my tomatoes and my juice into my jar. Now that's about halfway full. I'm going to take my basil now. Let me put my tomatoes down. And I'm working with a cramped space over here. Always working with cramped space. I've already washed my basil. So I'm going to take just a couple of sprigs or just a couple of leaves. And I'm going to put, and you put as much or as little as you want. And if you watch any of my previous videos, you know that I grow a nice amount of basil in the garden. So it was nice to be able to go out back, grab some basil, bring it in, give it a good wash up. It does look beat up and battered because I did give it a good wash up in the sink. A little bit of vinegar, a little bit of water, a little bit of salt. And so that is the basil that I put in. I just put one little clipping of basil. I just did a little snippet. I want to say it was roughly about that big. So just a little bit, not a lot. And that basil right there is not going to go to waste. I'm going to go out in the garden and get some more and make some pesto. If you guys are interested in how I make my pesto, please take a look at my pesto video. I think you will be pleasantly surprised. That pesto is amazeballs. All right, so that's roughly about an inch head space, just like that. Move everything over. And I'm going to take a little piece of this paper towel, just like so. And I pulled out 2 mason jars, but I only need 1. So I'm going to put that one off to the side. And I have a little container here of white vinegar. I've already wiped the top of my jar prior to putting the contents in, but you never know if you get any spillage or anything, so you want to make sure that you clean your jar off. And I have my lid over here off to the corner in another container, and this water was boiling hot when I put it in there because my water is boiling hot out of the spigot. Now you need to debubble, but this is a liquid, so I'm just gonna take my chopstick and just kind of move it around a little bit. I don't feel debubbling is necessary, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Now I'm gonna take that paper towel just one more time, make sure that I didn't put anything on this rim. Wipe it down. I'm going to get my lid that is sitting in some very warm water, and I'm going to put my lid on top just like so, and we're going to move this off to the side, getting everything out of the way. Now if I can only remember where I placed my ring, y'all. Here we go. It has been cleaned thoroughly. Put it on the top, fingertip tight just like that. The canner is already warming up, so let's see if the canner is ready for this jar. I only have one quart size jar, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't eat a lot of tomato sauce, so this is just enough for me for right now. And if I feel like I want more, I will go to the store and get more tomatoes and do this process all over again. This was actually just for me to make a little bit of tomato soup, because I kind of feel like I want some tomato soup this year. So I might just do this process all over again. Of course, not for you guys. This one is just for you, but just so that I can have a little bit more tomato soup. All right, let's look at that canner, everybody. I am not a professional at this, but the canner has water in it. It has come up to a little bit of a boil. It's not a hard boil, it's more like a soft boil. So I am going to put my tomato sauce in the canner. I took the lid off. I'm putting the jar in there. It always makes me nervous when I put the jar in there, you guys. Now this part right here, I am not a pro at, and I always manage to not get the lid on correctly. It like takes me a million tries to get it, but maybe today is going to be different. All right, today was I hope y'all saw that. Today was different. I got it on there. All right, so I'm going to let this start steaming. And once it begins to steam, we're going to let it steam for 10 minutes. Well, look at there. Can you guys see that? It's already steaming. Can you guys see that? But when it starts to steam, like really steam, we're going to let it start. We're going to let it steam for 10 minutes before we put the weight on it. So we're going to sit here and watch it. I've got the weight. All right. We're about ready to can those tomatoes. What really gets me about this canner is it bubbles, it spits, water's popping out. That makes me very nervous. I don't like it. The pressure button popped up, and I put the weight on top. And so now we're going to watch it until it starts rocking. And once it finds that sweet spot, then I'll turn it on. It's got to sit in there for 25 minutes. I already had the timer set for 25 minutes, but I haven't turned it on yet. So now we're at a waiting game. We're watching for that sweet rock. See, the safety valve back there is also popped up to make sure that everything is safe and that nothing's going to blow up. So we are still cooking with Crisco, everybody. Okay, the canner has just started wobbling, and it doesn't look like an out of control wobble. It looks about like the wobble from the very first time I tried to can. So I think that is a good wobble. It doesn't seem out of control. It seems like the one I had my very first time. This is my second time pressure canning, and I'm going to tell you right now, I feel just as apprehensive this time as I did the last time. My stomach is feeling really sick right about now. So I'm going to turn on the timer for 25 minutes. Okay, the timer has been set. Now I'm going to go and hide on the opposite side of the refrigerator because I heard a popping noise That made me kind of think that something's gone wrong already. So, yeah, I'm afraid of an exploded jar inside of the canner. We'll see how this goes, y'all. I really don't think I'm cut out for pressure canning. Timer just went off, and I just turned off the stove, or the element, the eye. So I'm going to gently move the canner to the back of the stove off of this hot element, gently. And I'm going to leave it there until it completely depressurizes. Right, the pressure canner has depressurized. Both the black safety pin has gone down and the pressure pin has gone down. So I'm going to slowly move this back to the front of the oven because I don't want the hood to get into the way. So, and that's the oven hood. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this weight off. See, no more pressure. I'm going to place it over to the side. Now I'm going to open up this canner slightly and just move it or make it ajar. That way some more of the inside air can come out. Now I'm not going to take this lid off, so let's see how this goes, y'all. All right, now I'm going to pick it up and just slide it off to the side like that, just a little bit. You see that steam coming out? Can you guys see that? Now I'm just going to leave it like that for 10 minutes. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes and leave it. Now I don't know if that jar has exploded. I don't know if everything is okay in there. I don't know anything, but we shall see. Honestly speaking, canning makes my nerves bad, and I don't need any help in that department. Okay, the timer has gone off. It's been actually a little bit over 10 minutes. Whew, because I needed a minute. So now I'm going to take the lid off and see what's going on inside of this canner. Now I have not looked, so you and I are going to see at the very same time. Well, you guys will see before me because I'm going to take the lid off and move it aside, and then I'm going to look in. Ooh, look at there. Okay, so I lifted the lid away from me. Let me show you guys what I see. Look at that. Look at that. Wow, amazing. Okay, so I'm going to take that out and I'm going to place it over here to the side. I have my, hang on a second. I have my little mat next to it. So I'm just going to leave it here for 24 hours. So I'm just going to move it. Now you all know I just told you that my nerves is bad. So I cannot lift this out and you all see me lifting it and moving it. I need all of my concentration for this. So I have my jar lifter. So just give me a second. I need a moment of silence, please. All right, so let me show you all what I'm working with. Look at that. Look at that. We're gonna go down a little bit. Let's do a little movie magic. Let's go down a little bit. Let's see if I can get this thing to work right. Look at that. Wow. Now it has been years since I have messed around and tried to make anything tomato based. I used to make tomato sauce years and years ago, but I stopped eating tomatoes. But I really would love to have some tomato soup this year. So this is how I'm going to start. I don't know how this is going to taste. It doesn't look very delectable, but we'll see how it goes. So that is my second pressure canning experience, making canned tomatoes with homegrown basil. I hope you guys enjoy. See you in the next video.